This is the Lost Man podcast, where we embrace the challenges and triumphs of being a modern man in the middle years. Join us as we explore the rugged path of growing older, wiser and bolder in a world that's constantly changing. I'm your host John.
And I'm Matt, and together we'll navigate this uncharted territory with grit, humour and a whole lot of heart.
And 1, 2, 3, we're back in the game.
3, 2, 1. Cool. Okay, so here we are. I think we are on the episode 0006. Welcome everybody to the Lost Man podcast with me, Lost Man John.
And me, Lost Man Matt.
So here we are in the usual surroundings, back in the usual surroundings.
Back in the workshop.
Back in the workshop after last week's excursion. We are, having a beautiful day. It's a lovely Saturday morning, and we are about a week out from Christmas. So we're going to be talking about a few things today. We're going to be talking about how our week has been, and then moving into, routines, morning routines, nighttime routines, and how you can kind of optimize based on regurgitated information that we've heard from other podcasts with no scientific fact whatsoever, how you can optimize your day, your morning routine, your evening routine, and your
life. How to optimize your life.
And I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because we've obviously played around with lots of different ways of doing things, so we've got some ideas of our own as well. But before we go into that, it's very important for us to mention that we wouldn't be able to do this without the people listening. So if you are listening, please hit subscribe. Please share this with your friends. It really helps. We're just two lads trying to get our voices out there. And if you like what it is that we have to say, then maybe tell somebody else. And that'd really be
add a little bit of value if we can help you just kind of improve your day a touch, a little. Yeah. Improve your day a little bit, then that's the aim of this podcast, really.
Yeah. As my dad used to say, a midgie's cock. If we can make your day just a midgie's cock better, then perhaps if you pay that forward, you can make their day a midgie's cock better as well. Okay, cool. So as I say, episode 00006 in full effect, back in the workshop, and I have to ask the question on everybody's lips. Matthew, how has your week been?
How has the week
coming
been?
Soon.
How's the week been? I've had I think I end up saying this a lot, really, like ups and downs, highs and lows.
Yeah.
But I'll start with the positives. Really, really fun. We've had a really fun couple of days away in Aberystwyth, Wales,
racist.
which, by the way, I have to say, I have been to Wales a few times, mountain biking and whatnot. I think basically only mountain biking, to be honest.
Yeah.
What nice people.
Lovely people.
What nice people,
Lovely country.
Mate. Lovely country.
Yeah.
Breathtaking views. Aberystwyth is obviously a little seaside town. And we got a little Airbnb, super cheap at this time of year, mate. It was like 200 quid for 2 nights. 2-bedroom Airbnb, nice apartment on the seafront.
Lovely. In
the nice part of the town. I say nice, it wasn't a bad part. I think one end was a little nicer than the other. Views of the sea. Sea was literally front door, road, sea.
Nice. And
then views of the headland. Would that be the correct word?
Yeah.
Geographical wording?
Yeah.
Beautiful bay, mate. Really stunning place. So really nice little trip there with the wife and little man for van build purposes. YouTube video coming soon.
Yeah.
We went to see a guy called Rob who has a company called Volkstrek.
Yeah.
And he specialises in basically overlanding and 4x4 equipment for VW. Anything basically VW.
Yeah.
So Crafter,
And he's serious. He's in with the the brand, isn't he?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
he's UK distributor for. He's gonna shoot me for this. I was pronouncing it Sequel, but I think it's like Seeker. German brand for off-road kit and stuff like that.
I've seen them. Yeah.
So yeah, we went to see him. Paid him a load of money. He has put a lift kit on the truck. He has put underbody protection on. He's put a snorkel on. He's put big wheels and tyres on. It's a beast. It's a beast now. The missus is very happy. So that was really fun.
Love that.
And
are you happy with it?
Yeah, super happy with it. Yeah, happy with it. Looking forward to. It's just one of those things, I guess. It's just money, isn't it? It's just everything to do with the van conversion is £1,000 here, £1,000 there, and it's just everything's just so expensive. So it's quite a slow process, you know. Be great if you just had the money in the bank to throw at it, but we don't. No. So you just got to trickle bit. So then, you know, I'm hoping by the end of January we can move on to the next little bit. But it was a big milestone because that was one of the more expensive, if not the most expensive thing like in
one.
And the reason we wanted to do that like that was because I felt like if we'd built the van inside, we would then be like, oh, we'll go away. But then in going away, you'd spend all your money. So the idea was we'll do that first, get it out, get the expensive stuff done first, and then and then really fun little trip to Wales. Definitely recommend it. Van is moving along nicely. I could insert picture here of upgraded van. And then annoying thing, and this is just linking to my like injury recovery and kind of sympathizing with anybody that's had a long-term, any kind of active people that have a long-term injury, is the highs and lows that come with rehabilitation. Is that the right word? With rehabbing that injury site or whatever. And you know, it was feeling really, really good at the start of the week, and then I do feel a little bit accident prone, but through no fault of my own. One was having a shower at this Airbnb, and I was trying to hold him for gins, and the floor was those like polished tiles, and it was like glass when it got wet, and he just like literally straight over, and I just instinctively caught him. That wrenched it, and then that night took Sky out for a walk, and she sometimes does this thing. So like I passed the lead to my left hand whilst I was undoing it around her neck. It's a slip lead, and she does this thing sometimes where she thinks she's got it off, so she kind of like wants to dart inside, and I hadn't quite got it off, and it like again just yanked my wrist. It is feeling a bit better, but you just have this thing, like for me it's like that anxiety of have I re-injured it? Have I like ripped off what they've sewn back together kind of thing? And I know we're like 10 weeks down the line, so it should all be pretty secure, but you still worry about it, and it still hurts, and you don't want anything to. You just feel like you take 2 steps forward and then 1 step back constantly.
Still 1 step forward. It
is 1 step forward, and that I guess is the way you have to look at it. And I'd like to talk more in maybe a dedicated episode really about kind of injury, active people injury and recovery, and like how to maybe optimize that, but like from a physical sense and also a mindset sense, I guess. Because I know I've struggled with it, but I do feel like you can keep moving forward.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like I think about this, and it'd be cool maybe to get somebody on who could give us some real, some real science behind
science and
injuries. Yeah, and we know a couple of people, don't we?
Maybe
I never forget. A friend of mine tried to introduce me to a girl called Carly Tate once, and Carly Tate is a Paralympic athlete who has cerebral palsy, however you pronounce it, and it's a really cool story. You know, she was kind of living with this condition, and then sort of, was. I don't want to speak for her, but I think she had things in her life that she was going through as well, and then she'd kind of made the decision one time to just go, do you know what, I'm going to grab this thing, the bull by the horns.
Yeah.
And I think it was pretty much within a period of like 12 months, 18 months or something like that, that she just switched gears, trained up and competed in this wheelchair event in the Paralympics. And you just think, bloody hell, go on. That's so good, isn't it? You know, and I quite often, I try and watch the Paralympics when they're on, as well as the Olympics. I think it's a great event. And I hope this doesn't sound patronising, and I genuinely don't mean it to, but I can't help but feel really quite choked up watching it, just thinking to myself, bloody hell, you know, God, that's such a high level of achievement, you know, and the sort of the middle finger to adversity of it all. I just love it. I think it's brilliant.
I don't feel choked up, but I do feel like I'm always watch those things and feel massively impressed.
Yeah, it's great.
You know?
It's incredible.
I think there's a good like lesson there with just having a focus. It's easy just to sit at home, and no matter what it is, it could be a physical thing or a mental thing that you're going through.
Of course. Yeah.
And I think just having a focus really helps you to move through it. And sometimes it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you are, you know, as long as you have a goal in mind.
I think I said this on the last podcast or an earlier podcast where I was talking about when I step back and look at my most depressed moments or my most challenging moments mentally, it's definitely been because there hasn't been that, you know, compounding bits or like this even just this North Star of any sort. It's just been flapping around in the wind. So wrist has been doing your head in this week, but still feeling like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but it's still 1 step forward.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you? Good week. How are you?
Yeah, good.
How's your week been?
Decent week. My week has been okay this week. So what's happened that stands out? Second week in the new job, it's all moving along very nicely. Baptism of fire, getting thrown in the deep end with clients. So was with some people yesterday in Liverpool, of all the lovely places in the world.
Mate, Liverpool is central Liverpool. It's a nice spot.
Yeah. And I say this joke very tongue-in-cheek as a Mancunian. It is a lovely place, apart from all the Scousers. I'm only joking. So we did that, and it was nice because one of the companies that I work with, their head office is in Berlin, so their guys were over, and it was good to meet them and get under the skin of what it is that they're doing and their plans for next year. But it is a baptism of fire. But I actually think that it could be said that I work better in that way. I don't know about you, but I just need to I can't sit with theory really for ages. I do. I think the one thing that I learned about doing the PT courses is that I'm better at that than I thought. But at the same time, my natural sort of inclination is to just go and do it. You know, like
kinesthetic, I believe they call it.
Thing.
Kinesthetic learner.
Kinesthetic, hands-on.
Yeah.
Like I can remember when me and you used to ride a lot, and you try and explain to me how to, I don't know, flip off things or whatever. And I could never do it with having an explanation, you know what I mean? I had to just do it, you know, myself and get the feeling myself. And that might take a little bit longer, but that seems to be the most intuitive way for me. But anyway, so that was what I was doing from a work point of view, with other stuff that's been going on. So my mum was up this week. So mum lives down in Devon, moved down there about 14 years ago with her now husband, and they have been really busy recently because they've lived in this one cottage, which you've been to, Pear Tree Cottage, since they moved there. But it was starting to get a little bit much to manage. You know, they're not sort of, sort of incapable in any way. They're in their mid-70s, but they're still very active. But that said, they had one of those tiered gardens. You know, it's like 5 tiers of garden. Not big.
5 tiers of pain,
5
basically.
tiers of pain.
Yeah,
you know.
admin.
And
5
that's what
tiers
it
of
is.
admin.
Yeah, exactly. So they wanted to move away. And they've had, you know, some trials and tribulations finding somewhere, but they've found somewhere, they've moved in, and they're starting to feel settled. And for those regular listeners, you'll know that I've just had my place done, so I know what that feels like, and it is a lovely feeling, actually. And I could tell in her face that, you know, she's been through it a little bit recently, but now she's you know, can settle.
Where
again.
have they moved to then?
Seaton.
Similar
Yeah,
place,
just down the road.
Right,
Seaton.
yeah. Just
but what's cool is they're like literally 5-minute walk from the
nice.
beach. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah,
great for them, great for the dog, great for the brain. You know,
mate, we were saying in Aberystwyth
Yeah.
that there is something nice about being by the sea.
I've definitely come to the conclusion that I want to, at some point, whether it's retire there or live there for a bit, I definitely want to spend some time next to the ocean. There's something grounding about that.
There's two things. One, when we were away...
We're bleeping out all these names of child, by the way.
No, I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
Can we? Do we?
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay.
Well, maybe. No, I'm not bleeping it out. You can get financially hacked.
Please do bleep it out.
Little man, then.
Yeah.
Really, I've never seen him pass out so quickly.
Oh,
so like when we
Ocean
went to, so obviously travelled down on that first night, and then we went and had a good walk down by the sea.
Yeah.
And yeah, mate, he was just KO'd, like KO'd, just out cold.
Gone.
Just crazy.
It's great.
And the other thing is, I'm sure Ginny's dad told me this, but the sea has, it's one of the biggest
organisms,
oxygen producers.
Oh, right.
So you have this like high rate of oxygen above algae and things like that.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why sea air feels so good.
Yeah. No, 100%. And if we're factually incorrect, please don't hate on us. But that would make sense. And there's something about it's almost like it's funny, and even just if you think back to when you were a kid and you went swimming as a kid, and when you got out of the swimming baths, there was this weird. You had this weird hunger that was different.
Mate, that hunger is real.
Yeah.
And it's just, I still get it now.
Yeah.
If you go like
yeah.
full body hunger.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. They get you. That's. I bet that's a good little business. A vending machine at a pool.
Yeah, of course.
Like just you get out and you're just like crisp, chocolate, everything. Go in.
There's something beautiful about the ocean. I went to where was this now? I think it would have been, I can't remember where we went. This was with Kate and her kids. Do you remember Kate?
Yes.
And we went to
Audi A6, Kate.
Yeah, and it was up. Oh God, where's Barber Bay? South Shields, that's where it was.
South Shields, is that like Newcastle way?
Yeah, sort of around there. And there was a lovely like sort of it was fish and chips, lobster, all that kind of stuff, right on the beach. You know, you sort of walked down this cliff face and went to this restaurant. I forget the name of it now. Insert name here.
Unknown. It's not going in.
Oh yeah.
Unless it comes to you in 24 hours.
Yeah, and just that whole experience was gorgeous.
Yeah, we did the fish and chips thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
man.
It was tasty.
Yeah.
It was tasty.
And it tastes for some reason different and better on the. See, you were mentioning about you've only been mountain biking in Wales. So my nan was lived in Anglesey, or on Anglesey, I should say, and yeah. So we used to go down there for our holidays all the time, and her house looked over Red Wharf Bay, and we used to go down to the ship inn, and I've got lots and lots of lovely memories of being down there, and it just makes me wonder. Like my friend Kelly, she grew up on coastal Wales, and she's just got such a lovely. I mean, I love her to pieces as a friend. She's got high levels of emotional intelligence, great person to be around, lovely spirit and energy, but she's also got this kind of real cool. It's difficult to describe, but that sort of water surfer, cool, just mentality. You know, like. Take each day as it comes, and I think there's definitely something in that. So that was that. Mum came up. What was cool about that was she came round to mine. We went out for some food, but she also brought my nephew round, who's 14 now. And I mean, obviously, I haven't got kids, but I see kids growing up around me, and it's definitely like, bloody hell. How do it was only, it feels like yesterday that we were talking about him going to high school, and now he's going into year 10 in September.
Yeah.
But what's amazing about it is I mean, he's 14, and I look at him, and I think about me. I moved out of my house when I was 16, and I look at him and I think,
nah, you're not.
Oh God,
you're
man.
getting chewed
You're
up
not
if
going
you move.
anywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, he
yeah.
still calls his dad daddy. And,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and
That's nice though, mate. Because do you know what? I see that at school. You see young kids and you see old kids at the same age. You know, some kids are very much still a kid.
yeah,
And then I hate to stereotype it, but kids probably from a more difficult background,
sure.
or I suppose
doesn't
maybe
mean-
from I don't know. It could be their home life is difficult, or it could just be, I guess, their parents in some ways.
Yeah.
But you see very much kids that are much older,
Right.
and
That's really interesting from a teacher's point of view.
yeah. You know, they're talking about drugs. They're talking about
Girls, boys.
the language that they use, and then you've got other kids that are, you know, go just so much younger.
Well, this is the thing with him as well, because it makes no difference which way, but we have absolutely no idea which way he's inclined, if he's inclined in any way whatsoever. Perhaps he's asexual like his Uncle John. But when I think back to, again, you know, myself at 14, we were fully interested in you know, girls.
I think some
and fully interested in, I mean, God, I might even go so far as to say that, well, definitely by 16 we were getting into clubs illegally. And
Oh, mate, I
possibly
was
even younger.
going out with my brother's ID. My brother was 2.5 years older.
Well, can you
So
imagine
wind
a
that back. So
15?
from 15 and a half. Yeah, that's
So
right.
imagine,
I had a fake ID.
Imagine that scene now. Think about whichever pub it was that you went to last. Pick a destination, and then imagine sitting in that pub, and then imagine some young 15-year-old from your school. Imagine that 15-year-old walking into the pub and walking over to the bar and buying a beer. It's such a mad concept.
Would it
isn't
happen now? No, probably not.
I think the world has changed.
I think there's same but different, I guess. I don't think people go to pubs like they used to.
No, drinking culture's
Students,
changed.
mate. I don't think students go out drinking as much as like when we went to uni. I went to uni.
I have to say, I actually think that's great. I've got a real bit of I wouldn't call it a beef, but I'm definitely like 1,000,000% over alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm like, it feels like, again, I don't want to put too strong a point on it and say, but it's kind of in the realms of an awakening. It's a bit like, bloody hell. Like,
But how much were you drinking before, would you say?
Well, I'd
say you drank most week, like you'd have
definitely have a bottle of wine on Friday and Saturday night.
bottle of wine,
Yeah, yeah.
And then midweek, maybe the odd beer, I would say.
I would probably say I could
if I
get,
spoke to you,
I
it
could
would
get
be
4. What I used to do was I'd have Bud Lights in the week, so I'd probably have 2 nights out of those. No, what it would be was, it would, you know, Thursday basically is the weekend, because Friday
is
you
the
know.
weekend starts early.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Thursday night would be a bottle of wine, and then that could be the reload on the Friday night.
Yeah.
So you know, I would probably say like maybe three, depending on the level of stress that week, /4 nights of the week would be bottle of wine or equivalent. You know,
Yeah.
take your pick. Yeah. And so, and to be honest with you, I don't feel like that's actually a lot. I think there's probably a lot of people out there, and I know one person in particular who is definitely, and it's funny because he said the same thing to me about a recent relationship where he was like, I don't think you're in trouble yet, but I think you're on the path. And I would say the same thing to him about where he's at with his alcohol consumption. You know, it's definitely, you know, a bottle of wine and then a glass of whiskey before bed every night. And that's not, it's not waking up and having a tequila for breakfast. But it's not good. And I think what happens is you end up falling into this false feedback loop where you're like, well, I feel okay, but you feel okay for your current level of where your life is optimized.
You think you feel okay.
Yeah, based on what your parameters are.
Yeah.
But I would say that for me, like, has it made much of an impact in terms of the quality of sleep? And we're going to move into this a little bit. I think drinking makes you fall asleep faster, but it definitely doesn't make you have a better quality sleep. You're sedated, you're not asleep. But
that's definitely the way.
Yeah.
So you feel like because you've gone to head down, buff out like a light. Mate, that is the word, sedated.
Yeah.
You are sedated.
100%.
But your actual the quality of your sleep and your sleep cycles is not very good.
No.
You're not moving into your deeper sleep cycle.
No.
You stay in you kind of like, mate, I can definitely tell when we've been out for a few beers, my sleep is just really like, I wake up a few times early in the morning, whereas I never wake up early in the morning, really.
And so that but I think the biggest benefit, and I will talk about this over and over and over and over again, and I'm very conscious of not becoming that guy, that I don't want to be a preacher about it, but it can't be ignored, the cognitive benefits of it, over time, just in general recall, and also general sort of levels of feeling good, feelings of well-being, and not sort of carrying around any baggage.
Well, it is a depressant,
exactly,
isn't it? That's what they say.
Yeah. And if we think about things that compound in the positive, then it makes sense that things compound in the negative as well. And that's what I mean about falling into this false feedback loop where, you might think that, you've had a good night's sleep and you feel particularly well optimized for the parameters that you're in, but it makes a difference.
I always like when you're talking about booze. Will says this, like, what, you've got to pay it back.
Yeah.
So like, however, so like the more you drink, the more pissed you get. Yeah, you might have a great night.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the more pissed you get, the more you've got to pay back the next day.
Yeah. And also not just looking at it on a day and then an evening and the next day level. I think if you take, so think about it in a month, and if in that month you have 31 days and you've had 15 days of those that you've been drinking, well, every single one of those other 15 days, there's margins of payback within those.
Yeah.
And then you think about it in a year and 10 years.
Yeah.
And when you start to calculate up like that, and for me at the moment, I just can't. I honestly, where I am, 5.5 months without having a drink. And I've got to say, this has got nothing to do with having a drink problem. This has got nothing to do with that. It was just I
wouldn't say you had a drink problem at all.
It was a conscious kind of, right, I've got a load of shit that I need to get done over the next couple of months. This is a defining moment for me. It's very, very important that I get these things done, and I'm just going to see what happens.
Yeah.
I would say
your drinking before was, I bet, a very average and common amount of booze to drink each, in the UK.
Agreed. And I think also it starts to have more of an impact as you get older. I mean, a friend of mine, a neighbour of mine, is in his late 70s and he drinks every night, and he's always in not a bad mood, but he can be a bit cantankerous, and I just think to myself, bloody hell. Like I look at my dad, actually, and he's ever since he had his, so going back to injuries we were talking about before, ever since he's had his, so he had a oh god, I always forget the bloody name of it, but essentially he had to have a stent put in his
didn't he have a heart bypass?
It's an aneurysm.
Right,
no, he didn't have a bypass. He had a stent put in his aortic valve. But where it was particularly tricky because it was at the top or bottom. However, as I say, don't come to us for scientific facts. But it was at a point in the valve where it was at the end of it, so the stent had to be built in such a way that it branched off, so it went into the other ones as well. So it was a pretty hectic operation, and it was weird actually, because anyway, and I can remember when, like, a couple of days before he was going into the operation, I was stood with him at his car pitch, and we've never been very good as a family at telling each other that we love each other. And even in that moment, like, looking at him thinking, like, I was about to go and I wasn't going to see him until after the operation, I was thinking, God, I might never see you again. And it was like that, but still couldn't find the words to say. But
Did you give him a hug?
No.
Oh, mate.
It's weird, isn't it?
He's a proper blokey bloke, though, isn't he, your dad?
He's just,
he'd probably call you soft if you.
I think if it was to be now, the relationship has developed since the operation. But the point is that since he had that, he's made a lot of changes in his life, and drinking less is like he was the typical, especially when we were younger. Pub every night, 4 pints of bitter or whatever it was, 5 pints, 6 pints of bitter, and 20 cigarettes. But yeah, he's changed, and in terms of his mood as well, he's a lot better off for it. So anyway, so Casper came over, and it was nice to see him. He's very. So I wonder about that, because when he was. After they'd gone, I was thinking to myself, is that good that he's kind of still like that? Is it not good?
I think it's nice, mate.
Do you?
Better that than what's the polar opposite? Him being out on the with his mates, experimenting with a load of substances or whatever.
I just wonder about. I think it's a very fine line to balance, because I think that there's people in the world who have grown up very quickly, and as a result of that are aware of some darknesses in the various corners of the world, and then they've built up an armour for themselves, and it's like, at what point does the armour stop protecting you from the world?
It will come, mate. Yeah.
At what point does it become just a heavy piece of kit around you? And there's areas of my character that are armoured but don't necessarily need to be.
Yeah.
But
it will come, mate. Everybody, they develop at their own age, really.
Totally.
I think he's like what maturity and street smarts will probably come. It just might come a little bit later.
Yeah.
We see it at school all the time. You just, in sixth form, you see some kids that still seem really young. And then, there's older kids that are just, you're having a chat to them like it's one of your mates.
Yeah. That must be crazy. So Mum and Casper came up, and that was that. And then the other big thing, and I'm gonna try and use this as a way to segue into our conversation, because what this purchase and delivery has done is completely destroy last night it certainly did, completely destroy my bedtime routine. Obviously the mothership of expense landed this week, which was cool. So if you don't know, we're talking about this computer build that I've done recently as a gift to myself. So myself and our mutual brother spent a good...
How long were you on it for?
Oh, God. Not crazy.
So you got a gaming PC.
4 hours.
It arrived yesterday.
Gaming PC arrived yesterday.
Got it all set up.
Worked out how to play the co-op on this new game that we've got, and we put a good chunk of time into it. We put a good 4 hours.
What game were you playing?
It's called Revenant 2, and it's a shooter, demons, apocalypse world, everything that we love.
What? Tell the audience what you call. What you call, but I also now refer to gaming time as...
It's actually funny, because the more you listen to this podcast, and you'll get to understand, and this will be the same for everybody out there. You have little groups of friends that have got groups of mates, and you have your own little language between you, and it's kind of becomes this like hilarious thing. But the gaming time is called Stabbage Cabbage. But that was specific to the game that we were playing at the time. We'll be coming up to. I mean, because we were.
I think Stabbage Cabbage is a great name.
Stabbage Cabbage is going to be hard to beat. But like everything in life, in our lives, we're going to have to come up with some weird and wonderful name for it. And what's actually funny is we were talking last night about the fact that we should record that. Like we should record those gaming hours and just throw them.
Yeah,
up.
mate. Put them on. Put them on. Is it Twitch or whatever?
Yeah,
it's
do
called?
something like that.
Yeah.
Because mate, the conversations are absolutely hilarious. We came up with names for ourselves last night. So what have we got? I've forgotten what they are now. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too soon. But yeah, that'll be something that's coming down the line soon. Very much in the same way that this kind of thing came around, where we were just like, we spend 3 hours on the phone talking like 3-4 times a week, and the conversations are both reflective, hilarious, insightful. I think with me and the brother Will, it's more just, I don't know, just he's
Is it broadcastable though?
Yes, we said about this.
Is it though?
It is.
I don't think it is.
But the thing with Will is what I always find really funny about Will is he's got. And it's really funny because he used to be quite shy, didn't he, Will? And he used to be quite shy because he wasn't very confident in the way that he spoke. But I think he's one of the funniest communicators. The things he comes, just the words off the top of his head. And I think a lot of his language bleeds into ours, doesn't it? That was it. It was Kilroy and Judas and Slut Colin the dog.
I'm sure I've heard you say that before.
Yeah. Well, Slut Colin.
I'm sure that was your DJ name.
That was right. Slut Colin was going to be the DJ name when we wanted to be DJs a few years ago. So anyway, we spent a good chunk of time on that. And
so how long were you gaming for?
Not that long. 4 or 5 hours.
I can segue this into our
4 or 5 hours. Yeah.
Topic.
So
4 or 5 hours, finishing at
about 11.
Finishing at 11, right? So this, funnily enough, Joe Rogan was talking about this on his podcast the other day. He was talking about gaming and that he avoids gaming but also loves gaming, which I guess is a little bit like me.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of avoid it because I know how much it can sap my time. And I know that, like, Warzone last year and the year before, hours. Huge, like... I got into Warzone during lockdown. I would get on Warzone at 11 a.m. and get off it at 11 almost do a full 12 hours on it during lockdown. Really bad habit. But
this 4 hours yesterday just evaporated. Didn't even notice it had gone.
And also, when I play, like, say I'd come and have a go in the evening. Like, I always think gaming's more of a winter hobby anyway, because the nights during there's not a lot. It's nice. It's not as nice being outside, and sometimes I would notice that I'd come off gaming at like 10, half 10, and then I would struggle to get to sleep, and I didn't think too much of it really. But Joe Rogan, I can't remember whose guest was on, but he was talking about it the other day, and he was saying, you're basically playing these games that are super fun, pretty realistic. Like, the graphics are so good now. Shoot 'em ups, and your like cortisone levels are up. Your what's the adrenaline levels are sky high. So you're coming off that, like, not like you've just done a bungee jump or something, but kind of stimulating those same. Yeah, you're coming off it amped, and then I was getting into bed, not being able to get to sleep. You
definitely couldn't put the controller down at 11 and get into bed at 10 past 11.
You'd need an hour just to wind down.
Sofa. Yeah. It is. It's fun. I mean, like you say, It's the right bit of kit. It looks great. I mean, I'm so happy with it. I can't tell you. But yeah, it is very much.
I suppose you just need to like try and regulate it.
100%. I mean, on a Friday night, I don't mind.
Friday
getting
night,
rid of 4 hours down the computer on a Friday night. I don't. And we're both busy in the week, so it's good. I mean, that said, I have got once I finish here, I'm going to go and do a bit with Rick and Jen, and I'm going to see my dad, and then from about 3 p.m. it's going to be full immersion. Full immersion.
Are you dual stabbing?
I've got some solo stabbing to do, and then our tips will rejoin at about 6 p.m. or something like that.
Cabbage,
but
the return.
But yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned an interesting word there, which was cortisol, and I think cortisol is an interesting. What is it? A hormone, I suppose, that it gets released. And people sort of are quick to demonise this, and I think it's like, cortisol is something that's produced when you're in times of stress, and it stays in the system for X amount of hours, and I think it's really something that you don't want to have peaks of late at night. But I was doing some research on morning routines and thinking about, the different things that you can put into place, and cortisol is actually not all bad in any way, shape, or form. And if you're in fact, one of the things that you want to do when you first wake up in the morning. So one of the most people out there may or may not have seen these things they're called SAD lights, like seasonal effectiveness disorder lights, and it's like specific lights that you can get that operate within a certain band of lumens, and if you wake, they sort of come on gradually especially if you live somewhere the UK, they come on gradually at a time that would normally be sunset in the summer, so that by the time you actually start to wake up, it's not pitch black in the room, which is a hard thing.
Oh mate, it's definitely easier to get up in the summer than it is to get up 100%. In winter.
And also with the SAD light, and there are other things available that you can get that do the same sort of thing, but what's also very important is actually getting that kind of light directly into your eyes.
Yes.
If you don't benefit from living in somewhere where it's bright in the mornings, then I would recommend getting one of those. And I totally buy into that, even to the point where I've known people who've had them and they've taken them to work with them, and they just sit them on the desk all day long. But the advice...
I suppose if you're locked in some kind of horrendous office block.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Now, the advice would be that if you can, and we spoke a little bit about this before, getting outside in the morning and grounding yourself, but specifically in terms of getting light into the system, if you can get out, and this thing I was reading or listening to was saying if it's a bright day outside, just spend sort of 10 minutes out there. And if the sun's low and you can look at it, it doesn't hurt the eyes, then do that. But that doesn't mean that if it's cloudy, there's not a benefit, because there absolutely is. And you should still, if you can, get out there and just sort of, even if it's super overcast, just look at the clouds for 20 minutes. And the positive impact that has, I mean, it's marginal gains, but marginal gains are what make the difference. And I think that this thing that I was listening to was really interesting, because it gave like a step by step throughout the day the different things that you can do.
What's it called with your? Is it your something rhythm? Your
circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm. That's it.
Rhythm.
And that's the same. When I was reading up on little man, trying to get him into some kind of sleep rhythm. Was making sure he's exposed to sunlight in the day.
Definitely.
And then obviously making sure that you don't expose him to light when he wakes up in the night.
Yeah. There's that, isn't there? There's the circadian rhythm part of it. Because what looking at the sun does, and again, go elsewhere for full scientific facts, but from what I can understand is it's good, and you underline that word, but also it encourages that cortisol release early in the morning, which has all kinds of benefits on your metabolism.
And I've read before that I know you said your eyes, your skin is obviously a light sensor, but your eyes are the most sensitive cells to light in the body.
And it's like the windows to your brain. They're part of your brain, your eyes,
yeah, they are part of your brain.
So there's that.
Andrew Huberman was talking about that in that podcast that you sent me,
right?
Where he was, they are literally it is brain matter
Yeah.
cells at the back of your eyes.
That's nuts, isn't it?
So it's the only part of the brain that's not in the brain. That's crazy.
It's cool. So getting out in sunlight.
Yeah,
is
we
really
wanted to talk
important.
about optimizing your morning and evening.
Yeah, because you've got a great
I've got a
routine.
pretty good morning routine. I lack with the evening routine.
Right.
But and really the I guess the wider impact that can have on your life, and I think it's if you're kind of feeling a bit like sluggish and a bit low, it's probably a really good place to start that will then facilitate change in other areas of your life. So I think that my big recommendation for morning routine, and this was a book I read, and it's called The 5 a.m. Club, and I forget the author, although we did write it down.
No, I didn't.
You do.
Just the 5 a.m.
I want to
get it up.
Google it because it's definitely worth a listen. The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma.
Oh yeah, good old Robin.
Essentially, he has I don't know how it's a full book because you can literally sum it up in one page.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it is a good read.
But you should still read it though.
What I mean is you could you can Google it. I'll give you the key takeaways in a minute. They're the key takeaways, and there's a really good book which kind of explains the theory behind each part of it. But you know, if you're keen on just getting the facts, the 5 a.m. Club, there's the three main pillars are that get up at obviously 5 a.m. And within that first hour of your day, you need to do three things. You need to do 20 minutes of exercise or intensive exercise, get a sweat on. You need to do 20 minutes of learning and 20 minutes of reflection, which he recommends doing outside as well. And essentially, like all things, I think what's really important when we talk about these things is to have a takeaway and also like an accessible takeaway. Because when I read these books, I don't read the book and copy it word for word, because sometimes it's just that's too hard to copy it word for word. But take that information and kind of make it your own. And I read this one just before we had beep. Oh, I can't believe that's another one I've got to find and cut out. I'm not even sure it matters that much.
Okay.
But before we had Little Man, and because I was keen to kind of kickstart my morning routine. And so I don't get up at 5 a.m. But what I do now do is I get up, well, generally at 6. But if I've got something on where I've got to be somewhere and I'm not going to have time to instigate my morning routine, I just say, I know that if I get up 1 hour before I need to get up, then I can get my morning routine done.
Yeah, nice.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like today, we had an early start today to record the podcast because I was supposed to be going to a family event, which is now cancelled because everybody's got norovirus.
Yeah.
But so I thought, right, I need to get up at 7. Actually, I'll get up at 6 today. It's a Saturday. I'll get up at 6. Jumped on the exercise bike for 20 minutes. Didn't do full workout. Just did quick 20 minutes on exercise bike. And whilst I'm doing that, my learning is I either put a podcast on or so I kind of combine those two into one, either a podcast or a YouTube video. And I always pick something educational. So instead of getting up and sticking on,
books
or a car review or or watching somebody you like that's funny on YouTube, I go out my way to stick on something about financials or something about like a topic like this. And then so I kind of roll those two into one.
Nice.
And it really helps. The reflection thing, I mean, in the book it talks about spending 20 minutes reflecting or writing in a journal. I've got to be honest, I don't do that. And also it talks about goal setting, and but what I do often do is part of my kind of morning routine is when I get in the shower, I kind of use that time as I am one of those that has a long shower. I do like to really just soak it up on a hot temperature. But in that time is when I think about what am I doing that day, what have I got to do, and use that time as reflection. But I think that for me, the key takeaway from the 5 a.m. club was the getting up and exercising.
Nice.
Because, and that exercise bike, it's just perfect for it, because no matter how tired you are, you can chuck a leg over it, and before you know it, you're into like a good spin, and you've got a good sweat on. And I think that sweat on it, like, feels like you're just shedding a load of kind of toxins. You are filling your body with endorphins, so happy hormones. Like you've got your heart rate up into kind of like your heart. For me, it's like a 150, 130, 140. So like a high. If I do some hit spins at the end. You really feel everything. You just feel on, and so I definitely recommend listening to or reading the 5 a.m. club, or getting it on an audiobook and listening to it. But for me, I want to talk you through my morning routine, because there's a few other little things that I like to do. So obviously, get up. I don't have a loud alarm.
No.
This comes from having baby, but I just have it on vibrate, but it wakes me up, and it's not like get up, get up now. It's just like it just is.
Funny how some of the alarm sounds like.
I know. Why would you want to start your day with that horrible
I don't
noise?
Need an alarm.
Well, mate, I'm the same, to be honest. I wake up at 6 every day pretty much. But I have I just have it on like a pulse. And I have my phone on airplane mode, and I have my phone under my pillow, so I just get this like vibration in my, and it, for me, it really works. And then get up, I neck a pint of water.
Nice.
Have a piss. Horribly
and
yellow.
Start putting the salt in the water.
I do put salt sometimes in water because it helps your body to hydrate. But I also, because I get a bit of trouble with my kidneys, my guy said not to over salt yourself, so I actually stopped. But have a you can see when you wake up how dehydrated you are, and even if you haven't been drinking or anything, you're usually pretty dehydrated. Nail a pint,
because it's difficult at the other end, isn't it? And we'll move on to bedtime routine. But I find if I have like a glass of water past 8 p.m, 9 p.m, I'll wake up in the middle of the night and have a wee, which is really annoying.
Just checking the camera hasn't died, because technical. We may have some tech. It might need to swap a battery out in a minute.
Do you think?
20% left.
Fine.
So get that water in there first of all. And then I jump on the bike. If I'm just doing that, or I do an extra kind of little workout along after that as well. Once I'm off the bike, I have a coffee, sometimes decaf, sometimes caffeinated. I know there's a lot of people say not to overdo coffee, but I certainly try and have one caffeinated coffee a day now. In that coffee, I have collagen supplement, and I think it tastes mega, like a beef collagen coffee tastes mega. It's like creamy, and 2, I just think it's good supplementation for joints. Skin health, hair, all of those things, and then jump into the loo. Get that all out the way. That's good.
Do a couple of hours in there.
Not a couple of hours, although and then into the shower for my bit of reflection. Nice hot shower, and then I'm back out. I hit up my supplements, and for me, supplements include things like B12. Cod liver oils. I like some half a vitamin C tablet that goes with the collagen, because it helps the collagen to absorb. I've just got some joint ones really at the moment, so not too many. And then I have a shake.
Yeah.
And in that shake I have oats, protein, either a whey or a vegan protein, whichever one I fancy. I try to get unflavoured, but sometimes it's not as easy to get hold of. The flavoured ones are full of bad sugar, like cancer-causing, fake sugars. Not good for you. And then a few other things like greens mix. Trying to think what else I put in there. Ginger powder. What's the other things? Maca powder, a few other bits that my wife researched that are good for healing and reduced inflammation in the body.
Yeah, I think reduced inflammation is whichever way anybody can get that to happen for themselves. And whatever set of supplements works for them. I think that's one of the most important things in life.
Yeah,
for every
a lot
aspect.
of illnesses are actually caused by inflammation in the body. Yeah,
I think recovering from those, or the lack of speed around recovery, is due to the degree of inflammation that you have. And I mean, again, this is not being a scientific podcast, but I would say from the things that I've heard that inflammation is the be all and end all of pain for people at every
of course
stage of their life.
Yeah.
That's a really cool one. My morning routine, so it's been a bit tricky at the moment, and it's okay, I think, for routines to ebb and flow.
That's definitely...
And I think it's about, that's where the discipline bit comes in, and as long as you know how to tailor it back, then that's great. But so my morning routine has always usually been pretty good. I'm an early riser. I tend to wake up at pretty much bang on 5. It used to be frustrating for me, but there was a point in my life where I woke up and I was like, well, I'm actually really productive in the first half of the day. Like between 5 and say 2-3 p.m. are my super productive hours. And I just started to realise, well, there's no point in, if I wake up at 5 and that's how it is, then make the most of that time.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
So and
then wind down a bit earlier in the evening.
Exactly. And there's something satisfying. Actually, I used to remember, getting up, getting a workout done, getting a load of work done, whatever project it was that I would be working on, and then by the time everybody was sort of like sluggishly logging on at 9 a.m.
Yeah, you're in and on.
I mean, I did take it a bit far, and I had to promise people in my team that I wouldn't message them before 9 a.m. because they were like logging on, and there was like, but anyway. But yeah, so that's something that you've got to think about. But yeah, no, and definitely with the exercise in the morning. And this is, with this new job that I've started, my routine has been knocked out for the past couple of weeks because I've been 5 days a week in the office. But it's settling down, and it's moving more into the 3 and 2 work from home pattern, and I can start reintroducing that workout program in the morning, which I'm really missing actually, and really need to get back on the track with. But in terms of, other things, so I'm particularly sensitive to caffeine, and I find that if I have a coffee past 11 a.m, I can still feel the half-life of it later on.
Yeah.
And that's how it works with coffee. It has a 12-hour half-life of 50%. So if you have a coffee at 11 o'clock in the morning, at 11 o'clock at night, you're basically drinking the equivalent of half of that cup of coffee. Like my mate Jay, he's the kind of guy who can have a double espresso after dinner at 9 p.m. and then go home.
My dad can do that, mate.
It's ridiculous.
My dad's like, we'll have eaten dinner, like Christmas Day or something, and you sat there at 8-9 o'clock, and he's like, anybody want a coffee?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but
no.
I actually think that's got more to do with poor routine, because you shouldn't be. Yes, naturally you're going to have something to eat, and it's going to, what's it called, the postprandial dip. It's going to, your blood rushes to the stomach, and you're going to start feeling a little bit sluggish. But you shouldn't really be needing a coffee after.
Mate, well, I think maybe that's linked to like booze.
Yeah, there's that as well.
Because
Yeah.
I suppose when I've been out, like like at a wedding or something, you get a coffee in there because you're starting to flag a little bit.
But in that context, it's great. But for me, and there's also a science behind and go and check it out in more credible places than this. But there's science behind not having caffeine within the first 60 to 90 minutes when you wake up, because it's to do with the adenosine. Because what caffeine is an adenosine inhibitor. So it doesn't actually produce energy. It stops.
Yeah,
it slows down the adenosine process.
Just stops you feeling tired.
That's right.
It doesn't actually make you feel energetic.
But the system that's in play when you first wake up is actually your adrenal system. And I'm going to stop talking about that technically there, because I don't know how to explain it any more than that. But the current science is that you should just be getting up, and what I do is I wake up, same as you, have a glass of water. I do have salt in it.
Yeah.
And I have a couple of. That's when I have my collagen. That's when I have my vitamin D. I have nootropics as well. So I use a brains iron supplement called Focus, and I have reishi mushroom and lion's mane. And I have to tell you, that stuff works.
I'm going to try it.
100%.
I think I should try it and then feed back to the.
It's a tangible feeling. It definitely, again, talking about compounding. What's the word I'm looking for? Compounding benefits. Yes, it's a tangible benefit. It's a tangible feeling when you start to sort of feel the impact of taking the tablets, but also, generally speaking, just day to day cognitive benefits. That combined with the no drinking thing, it makes a difference. So I do that. I have that. And then I just get a cup of tea and I go and sit in a quiet space with a dim light. I put the dogs in the other room and I put some sitar meditations on. So sitar is the guitar, that sort of typically sort of Indian style of meditation music. And I put that on and I do my breathing exercises for about 8 to 10 minutes. And going back to before, talking about things to take away, breathing exercises are very, very important. I find them very, very beneficial. And if you want to read a good book on that, it's a book called Breathe by a guy called James Nestor. And to tie into what you were saying before, how could you make a whole book around just, a few different breathing techniques? Well, there's actually a lot of really interesting history in terms of the body's physical adaptations to the different ways people breathe, particularly around nasal breathing. So a really good recommendation. Go and check out James Nestor's book. There's another one called The Oxygen Advantage as well, which is really interesting.
It's powerful.
Super powerful.
Like the missus, she gave birth without any pain relief.
That's because she's a beast, though.
Not even a paracetamol.
No.
And she squeezed him out.
Yeah.
Without anything.
Yeah.
Just with, and she did a lot of breath work.
Yeah.
Practice before.
It's really interesting.
And that's my my memory of Ginny's birth was quite literally her just walking around the room going.
Yeah. It's great. I think
with some tunes on.
I like to think that I think this in general about us as a species. I think we're really infant in what we actually understand about ourselves and our brains, and particularly us two. I mean, Jesus. But as a species,
infant, full stop.
Yeah, as a species, I think there's a lot that we need, and I definitely believe that there is more that we could learn from the old mystic ways, such as meditation, such as breathing, all these different kinds of things that would help us in ways. We're so piled on top of by commercialization, and we've lost our way with so many of these more spiritual practices that I think that there's a lot of benefit to that.
Don't you think that we are a bit quick fixy?
Total quick fixing.
Give me a pill that solves that.
Fixing.
And give me a pill. I'm not willing to put the work in.
Yeah.
But give me a pill that solves that. Well, therein lies our problem.
Totally.
At the moment, we all want an immediate, fix without waiting. You don't want to have to put the work in and see a change over time.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think an ongoing. How much battery have we got?
We have got 10%.
Right. We'll move on to evening routine in a minute, but just to sort of like put a cap on this, I think that a general, sort of theme for this podcast that I would like, and I think that you agree with this, is to kind of like, give a little bit of a middle finger to that way of life, you know, and try and
put the work in. Put the work in to make, like, every day. Just do a little bit that will impact your life day to day.
100%.
Yeah.
It's about that compounding, and I think that you could almost call this podcast the compounding podcast, because that's something.
Come back to it every week.
I'm so dialed into that idea at the moment of just no matter what you're doing that day, just do one thing, or do 10 things if you can, but just do one thing at a very bare minimum that's adding to what you did yesterday. And you will definitely, in 10 years' time, go, bloody hell, look where I am now, without even realising it.
I feel like if people are thinking, I don't know where to start with all this shit, I don't know what to do, if you're having those thoughts, they're the right thoughts to be having, because at least you're reflecting on it and thinking, well, maybe I'm a lost man. I'm feeling a bit lost at the moment with this. Where can I start? And even if you just
do 10 press-ups.
10 press-ups,
or stand outside in the garden for 10 minutes.
Stand outside,
call that friend, whatever it is, just that one bit.
Do you know what I just wanted to add about my routine? What I really like about it is I get up, because I get up early, I get up before everybody else. When I don't get up and I do the morning routine and people are up in the house, I don't find it as nice.
Yeah.
Like, because I get up and it's, morning or twilight or dark, and I jump on the bike and it's just nice and quiet. But obviously once everybody's up, you don't quite have that same level. So that getting up early, if it's just getting up early, if you just think, right, I'm going to get up, and instead of rushing to work, I'm going to actually take my time a little bit more. And
do you know what I've just thought about rushing and taking our time a little bit more? I actually think we're not going to be able to do bedtime routines the justice that it deserves, because I think bedtime routines is as important as morning routines, and we've been able to invest a lot of time in speaking about morning routines. Do you want to do a full episode on bedtime routines?
I'm not a big nighttime routine person, so I feel like we can
let's
get it in, and then it's
see how we do.
More. We can always come back to it. But my nighttime routine is pretty poor. Like, obviously, I like to sit on my computer in the evenings doing a bit of editing or whatever, and then watch a bit of TV. I like to have a little bit of, like, half an hour of just kind of wind down, maybe with something on the TV but not really watching it before I go to sleep. And to be honest, apart from taking a couple of ZMAs and a glass of water, that's pretty much it, mate. Glass of water, 2 ZMAs, brush my teeth.
What time do you go to bed?
So in my head, I'd like to say 10, but it does end up being more like 11.
Yeah. Is it like get in bed for about 10?
No, not remotely. It's more like get up and get a glass of water and my ZMAs at 10:30.
Do you find ZMAs give you weird dreams?
No.
I actually don't think ZMAs work very well with me. They make me feel a bit groggy in the morning.
I don't really notice any difference. Do you not? But
they're supposed apparently
they've got a whole wealth. Really good. Yeah, it's a whole wealth
and I think
benefits.
Magnesium threonate,
something
specifically,
like that.
Yeah, is good as well. And so if your ZMA has got that kind of magnesium, then that's great. I'm actually going to do a supplement buy probably this weekend on some individual supplements, because I've got some ZMAs from My Protein. They're crap,
You'd think they'd be all right, because My Protein, surely as a big brand, you'd think that the quality of them would be okay.
Maybe it's just how they respond to me, but I'm not particularly thrilled with them. And I'm going to get this stuff. I think it's magnesium threonate, theanine, and a couple of other things as well.
Where's that from?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm just going to... last time I looked into this, I was pulling up results on Amazon. But there's actually a sort of like very sort of hippie supplement shop in Altrincham near me, and that's where I got my lion's mane and my reishi from.
Okay.
And she's really cool and really knowledgeable, so I'm going to go and get it from her. It's an independent. It's not... I think the problem you say about My Protein, but obviously I used to work for the brand, and I without wanting to get into any hot water, I think that sometimes the bigger the company, not just My Protein, but the bigger the
I
company,
agree.
the more commercial and production focused.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah. So there's that. But in terms of bedtime routine, something that I found that works really well for me when I'm particularly focused on it is, for me, going to bed is all about a wind down process. So a nice hot bath in the evening to start it off. I like to do the bubbles and the candles and the incense, man. I do. I love to do that stuff, and I really find that it makes a big difference. I actually like to do some stretching and use an app called Pliability in the evening, and find that just puts me in a really nice calm place as well. It's about 20 minutes. The app is, I think it's $16.99 a month, and you really do get a lot of benefit from it. And it's just nice to have that guided practice, I find. And then, getting into bed, and I think there's nothing that can send me off more naturally and more, as nice as this, as reading a book. And I find after a few pages, I'm like, I'm going, my eyes are going. Obviously this again is another routine that I need to get back in, because at the moment,
Stabbage cabbage.
5 hours of Stabbage cabbage seems to be
Okay,
the
here's
actual
one for you
thing.
then.
Yeah.
So you've got a pretty good routine there.
Yeah.
And on that, I'd just say, is the missus ran us a cheeky bath the other night.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I felt really good
I love baths in the evening, mate.
after that.
Yeah.
Multiple reasons.
Yeah, cheeky bath. Yeah.
But definitely nice hot bath. It really did. I felt really
I love
well.
it. I love it.
Kind
I have
of
a bath every
relaxed.
day.
Yeah, I know you do. I know you're into
Yeah.
your baths. But go on. So
Yeah.
on your routine is way more dialed than mine, and it's probably something I need to look at.
But I think it's because I have more problems with sleep. I
don't know, mate. I'm pretty.
My getting to sleep thing isn't a problem, but my waking up in the middle of the night thing, not in the middle of the night, like 3-4 a.m. is a problem.
See, mine's the opposite. Like, I generally sleep pretty well, but like if I can't get to sleep, it just haunts me all night.
Right, and you're thinking, I can't sleep.
I can't get to sleep. And
the most annoying thing about that is when you've got something that you
mate,
really
always
don't want to be
like
tired for
going
the
back
next
into
day.
like going back to work after you've had a week off
Yeah.
or whatever. For me, I'm like,
Yeah.
I find that I'm anxious about
Yeah.
it. But what I was gonna say was, you having a pretty dialed night routine. Last night you did Stabbage Cabbage
Yes.
till whatever time.
Yeah.
How did you sleep?
Well, actually, okay. I slept pretty good. No, I feel fine today. We finished at about 11, and I was glad actually, because Will was like, "Right, we're in this now till 1 a.m."
Yeah,
And I was
oh,
like,
God.
"Oh God."
It's like being 15 again, playing
yeah.
Gran Turismo, trying to do a 24-hour night
Yeah.
race.
So we got to a certain point, and he's like, "Should we call it?" And I was like, "Oh yes." So anyway, no, but I slept pretty good. Got into bed, drifted off just great, and I think just this time of year is difficult because I wake up like I don't like to look at my phone when I wake up. You know what I mean? Because I don't like to have. Because if you wake up and look at your phone, then I think that light will help make it more difficult to get back to sleep.
Yes.
But because it's dark at the moment, you're like, I don't know what time it is. It could be 3, it could be 6, who knows?
I was just going to say, I do, in the morning,
Yeah.
I do look at my phone as a way to stimulate my eyes. Because, to get up.
Yes.
So, like, obviously my alarm goes off.
Yeah.
And if I open my phone and turn it, like, I know some people say that you're kind of hit with the stress of having your phone and like emails and I don't tend to turn on my because I'm on airplane mode, so it can go bing 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 and like ping off, which then fills you with a bit of stress, doesn't it, right in the morning, which you don't want. But I do look at it when I want to get up, because that light does make you feel kind of just tell yourself, get up now. It's like but so you didn't feel like it affected your sleep pattern too much last night? I
feel good this morning. I feel great. Got a relatively busy day. Feel okay to go and tackle that. But as I say, it was an early start, and I'll be winding down from about 3, 4, 5 p.m, something like that. It should be a nice Saturday night.
I'm just going to switch this battery out.
I think we're done.
I think quick battery change, and we're back.
On the scene, back in effect.
Back on the scene, but actually to say goodbye because we're done. But so takeaways from today are definitely listen to the 5 a.m. club if you want a little bit of motivation for kind of getting up and I guess kickstarting your day. I really just can't recommend that book enough, and I can't recommend just the 20 minutes of exercise thing a day. And it will really just help to kind of make you feel awake, I guess, and not overkill it on the caffeine.
Yeah, no, that's definitely one.
I think if you use caffeine as a tool, so I like to just have one a day, usually in the morning to get me going. But what I find with caffeine, if you have it all day, if your day was a graph, it would be high energy, low energy, high energy, low energy, high energy, low energy. Whereas if you just have the one, and then kind of, I actually really rate decaf coffee because I think it gives you the what's the word I'm looking for? The placebo effect of having coffee without. Because sometimes I don't have a coffee.
I think decaffeinated still has trace.
It does still have trace in it.
What I do is I have a coffee in the morning and then I have cups of tea in the day to just sort of.
Decaf or full fat?
Full.
Because I go decaf tea.
Yeah.
But just some days I just have decaf, especially because it can make me feel a little bit anxious. Like a little bit like, ooh.
100%. Yeah.
So if I overdo it from that, I do feel a bit like shaky and that like heartbeatiness. So, but yeah, from me, read that 5 a.m. club and definitely get up and try and do, like John said, even if it's just 10 air squats. Yeah. Start small, start somewhere.
And for me, I think that something that I really believe in, morning routine, bedtime routine, general life, is these breathing techniques and trying to find out which one works for you, and the various benefits of them in different ways, So, read that book by James Nestor called Breathe, but then also, work out what your productivity hours are and try and, work around those, So for me, it is 5 a.m. to 2, 3 p.m. And so I try and build whatever routine around that morning routine, bedtime routine, so that it's tailored in to make the most of my my day. And
what was I want to try those things that you were saying that you supplement.
So magnesium threonate.
No, the reishi mushroom.
The reishi mushroom, the lion's mane mushroom. Yeah. So my supplement stack is this. Collagen, the salt, I've forgotten what salt it is. What salt do I buy?
I don't know, but I buy Himalayan, but you say it's better than that.
No, the Himalayan
rock
stuff
salt.
is full of heavy metals. This is this like marine salt, that's what it is. So marine salt, collagen, vitamin D, lion's mane mushroom, reishi mushroom, and then there's a company called Brainzyme, and I have the Focus Pro.
Nootropics.
It's not expensive. Nootropics, yeah. And it's all natural ingredients. I've shown it to a psychiatrist friend of mine who is, sort of literally qualified to administer drugs that are good for the brain or bad for the brain. And he's looked at it and said everything on there is positive and has got good science behind it. So check it out. Brainzyme is the company. And things that I'm looking to go and buy, because I don't want like a one size fits all ZMA. So I've done very, very minor bit of research, and I think it's magnesium threonate, theanine, and then there's a couple of others that I can't remember, and I've not got my phone on me, and we'll put them in the notes of this podcast.
Yeah, put them in. Yeah, I'll put in the notes of this as well what I put in my shake.
Yeah,
and what I supplement for like a full list.
Yeah, because we are the pillars of health.
I don't think we're the pillars of health, and I think
definitely not.
And what I think is good is that it's when you look at somebody that appears to be the pillar of health.
Yeah.
And you hear them talking about all these things they do, and you think, God, that's so much. But we are just two normal lads and trying to kind of live our best life and be as healthy as we can, one step at a time. And it's nothing crazy like get up and do a 12-mile run. We're not asking people of that. We're just trying to do little things that can help, that normal people with normal jobs and normal lives can fit in and around their life to make them that little bit better. Nice to see you today.
Lovely.
Thanks for getting over.
No worries.
Nice and early for no reason whatsoever.
No problem at all. Problem at all.
Because I was supposed to be going to a family event, and now it's all cancelled because everybody's shitting through the eye of a needle.
Brilliant.
But thank you for making the effort.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you again.
Very
Thanks for
soon.
Listening. Thanks for watching.
Our next episode will be a very festive one. I think we're going to try and record it on
Boxing Day special.
Yeah. So we're not quite sure what the subject matter will be yet.
Merry Christmas and hope you have a good one.
Podcast, where we embrace the challenges and triumphs of being a modern man in the middle years. Join us as we explore the rugged path of growing older, wiser and bolder in a world that's constantly changing. I'm your host John.
And I'm Matt, and together we'll navigate this uncharted territory with grit, humour and a whole lot of heart.